Hello, everyone. My name is Mia Burke, and I will be talking to you all today about the comment period on decontamination at Lerf and ETF. And these two facilities are located here in the 200 East area of the Central Plateau on the Hanford site. So just to begin, what are Lerf and ETF? Lerf stands for Liquid Effluent Retention Facility. So imagine 4 basins in the middle of the Central Plateau, and 3 of them are currently operational, and 1 is under construction. And so these basins are receiving liquid waste from different areas of the Hanford site and storing that waste until it can be sent for treatment to the Effluent Treatment Facility, or ETF, which is right nearby. And the waste that arrives to Lerf and ETF is liquid waste that is heavily contaminated with chemicals, but isn't highly radioactive. And so these 2 facilities typically process about 1 to 4 million gallons of waste annually. But DOE expects that when the waste treatment plant is in full operation, that amount will double, and the waste treated at these 2 facilities will be processed. The two facilities will process up to 4 to 8 million gallons of waste annually. So these 2 facilities will play a much bigger role in Hanford cleanup in the years to come. And we expect to see more comment periods out about them in the future. So where does the waste come from? I mentioned the waste treatment plant, and specifically at the waste treatment plant, the waste will be coming from the effluent management facility. And 2 of the Lerf basins will be reserved for just the waste that comes from the waste treatment plant. But waste also comes from the 242A evaporator, and then from other Hanford activities, such as groundwater from pump and treat and leachate from landfills. And I'm going to zoom in on this diagram here, and you can see that the waste arrives through the 3 avenues that I just talked about. And it goes to the 4 Lerf basins where it is stored, and then is transferred to the effluent treatment facility. And within the effluent treatment facility, the waste goes through a primary treatment process, and it's then sampled. And if all of the contaminants have been removed, then the waste can be discharged into the ground at the state-approved land disposal site. Or the liquid can be reused to clean ETF and Lerf. And this is important. I'll talk about this later because it's directly related to this comment period. If the waste is sampled after the primary treatment process and there are still contaminants, then it goes through the secondary treatment process. And after this, it will come out in 2 different forms. So there's a powder form that's then disposed of at the Environmental Restoration Disposal Facility, or ERDF, or it comes out in a brine form, which is then transferred for further treatment at an authorized dangerous waste facility, or in this case, Perma-Fix Northwest. So you can see here that there are 4 images showing the final disposal areas for the liquid waste. And just to give you an idea of the state-approved land disposal site, it's located just north of the 200 West area in the Central Plateau. And Lerf and ETF are here. So what is this comment period all about? Well, it's a proposed permit modification that would implement new processes for cleaning the Lerf basins and ETF after liquid waste has been stored and treated in them. So because certain types of contaminants must be kept separate, and waste is arriving from different areas of the Hanford site, sometimes the Lerf basins or ETF will need to be washed or flushed with water between batches of waste. That way, new contaminants can be accepted for storage or treatment. So the waste, before it arrives to Lerf or ETF, is sampled and characterized, so they'll know what contaminants are in the waste. And then before flushing to wash out either of the facilities, waste will be sampled to determine how much water needs to be used to completely remove the contaminants. After flushing, the Lerf basin or ETF is then ready to accept new waste again. And the flushing water itself will be treated at the effluent treatment facility after the cleaning process. And then it could be reused again in the future for a future cleaning process. So we have a few suggested comments for this permit modification. The first is to increase accessibility and transparency of public-facing materials. We attended USDOE's virtual public meeting and found the materials in the presentation to be confusing, and the explanations were full of jargon and unclear terminology. We asked DOE to please design their meetings to be accessible to the public, to provide clear and plain language explanations, and to describe everything in basic terminology, not in technical language. Our second suggested comment is to sample the liquid waste heel after decontaminating the basin, the Lerf basin. So a 550,000 gallon heel of liquid waste is left in the Lerf basins after each cleaning cycle. This heel is left to protect the basin's liner. The amount of flushing water is calculated ahead of time to ensure the types of waste are adequately removed. Instead of just relying on the amount of flushing water, we think USDOE should also test the liquid heel after cleaning the basin to validate that the types of waste have been completely removed. This would ensure that different types of waste aren't mixing after a cleaning cycle. And finally, we ask DOE to not send effluent treatment facility brine to Perma-Fix Northwest. So brine coming out of the effluent treatment facility is intended for treatment at an authorized dangerous waste facility. In this case, brine would be sent to Perma-Fix Northwest. Perma-Fix Northwest is located off of the Hanford site in Richland. The facility has a troubling recent history of fires, worker exposures, and inadequate safety protocols. Brine can generate toxic gases, such as ammonia, when it is treated. High concentrations of ammonia pose a fire and explosion hazard, especially in confined spaces. So due to its alarming history, sending brine to Perma-Fix Northwest creates a major safety, public health, and worker health concerns. We ask DOE not to send the brine to Perma-Fix Northwest. So we hope you'll take action and write and submit comments on the Lerf and ETF liquid waste decontamination. Comments are due Monday, December 27th, but you're able to submit them anytime on Ecology's online portal. Thank you.